Okay, I think I'm the facilitator today.
Yep.
Um, okay, so I'm the facilitator, Joey.
I'm the challenger. Daniela isn't here, so James.
I am now the host.
Okay.
What were you before?
I was the submitter.
Okay.
We need to use that role anyway.
And I am the jokester.
Cool. It says list anyone absent as any action needed based on the team charter policy on this meetings. Danielle is absent, but didn't we just say for her to watch this meeting?
Yeah, and she'll submit her notes to the Google Drive so we can see them, and to Chanley, obviously.
Cool. Okay, jokester, your turn.
Okay. Two guys are fishing, and they're looking at each other, and they have their lines in the water, and one guy has his legs crossed, and he uncrosses his legs, and then crosses his leg over his other leg, and the other guy says to him, "Are we going to dance or are we going to fish?" That's it. A stupid joke. I don't know. It's an old joke my grandfather used to tell us.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was
okay.
funny when you just said there are two guys fishing. That was funny. We all started smiling immediately.
Okay. Who did everyone watch all the videos and read everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for help finding that one thing.
You're welcome. It took me a minute too because I forgot what the textbook was. I don't know how. Number 6, review and discuss feedback sent to the team by Dr. Chanley from the previous meeting and assignments.
I don't know that we've gotten feedback on the most recent one. Let me look real quick. So that would have been what, 5 point? Well, anything in 5 really. 5.2 is not graded. That was our team interview, and then 5.1 was the discussion video, and then our notes from 5.3 don't. There's nothing graded for that week yet. So
okay, so we can move on. So the next thing is the review agenda. I don't think we need to make any changes. Danielle is going to catch up on what she missed tonight. I do know that I think at some point in this agenda it talks about like the next steps for that one thing, because I know I'm confused on it. So I need to make sure we discuss that at the end for the
extra credit.
Well, yeah, the extra credit and then the reviewing interview, because I know someone asked which was due before tonight's meeting. And I did 2 assignments, but not the reviewing teammate assignment because I knew that one we hadn't done yet. But I don't know what 2 assignments I did.
So tonight I thought it was just the notes for this discussion, and then I thought the teammate review was another possible extra credit assignment. Was that not the case? I don't know what that's about.
I think that's the actual assignment. And we'll review it when we get to the end, but I think it's just basically we picked 2 teammates that we're gonna review on.
Oh, so not like the last one, but yeah, just our assessments.
Yeah, but we decide during this meeting who does what.
Right. Cool. Okay. Team building activity. We sometimes often have a hidden persona, an alternative vision of ourselves if we could choose anything to do to be. What is your alternative name? Your stage name. Why did you select that name? Who wants to go first?
Can you repeat the questions? My screen just froze.
It's talking about your stage name. Like if you had a different name or a different persona that you would want to be.
I guess I'll go. So my name is Ari, but it's pronounced Ari, not Ari. And when you introduce yourself to people and you say Ari, they don't get that. They say Harry or Barry. You have to either take the time to explain to them what your name is, or oftentimes, like when I was in college and I didn't really want to go through the process of explaining what my name was. My middle name is David, so I just introduced myself as David. If I knew I wasn't going to see a person again or didn't really care about their interaction, it was just easier to say my name was David. So I guess that's what I would call myself.
I guess I have no idea. Well, a lot of people call me Joe, and that kind of drives me crazy. So I think I would actually adopt that name rather than going by Joey. I'm pretty adamant about not being called Joe for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. James?
So I've studied a lot of random philosophy in the past. And in the past, my hidden persona or alternate version of myself was sort of like a manipulator, almost like a Luciferian type character that was trying to weasel my way to the top and try to like get ahead any way I could. And I guess it was because I was in crappy situations. But I think recently, I don't know if the necessity of the name matters that much, but I kind of just, instead of trying to be this demon or daemon in some philosophies they call it, which is basically your higher self, but in like a kind of a sinister version, like someone that can manipulate to get what they want. I kind of want to follow Jesus. I feel like there's like this calling recently after like 15 years of being an atheist to come back and like start getting back into religion a little bit, and not necessarily religion, but just sort of the text, because I was so against it for a really long time. So Jesus is my new name, my secret name that I want to keep from everybody, but sort of walk in those footsteps. I think that's a good goal.
Well, now we have it on recording, and we can put that all over YouTube.
I'm going straight to heaven.
Yeah.
That's all I need right here.
Oh man. Mine would just be instead of Hayden, because everyone calls me that anyways. So that's my name now. It'd just be easier to go ahead and claim it. But okay, so let's move on to the notes that we did, or the assignment. It's 6.4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go over those. First one was about chapter 4 in the textbook. Mainly the case study that started on 57. Did you all think it was necessary to hold an in-person meeting with the team members to resolve the problems? What are the pros and cons of doing so? Joey.
So this one I kind of went on a long rant about. I feel strongly that it's not necessary to have in-person meetings. Technology is so advanced and we're all constantly in contact with one another. Kind of even similar to this course, we have the WhatsApp at our fingertips right now. So the second something comes up, I'm able to ask a question and get instant gratification from that, or an immediate response. And I think sometimes we need to talk through things or handle things through email or something in writing. Is there something wrong with my sound, or is that someone else?
I think that's Aries feedback.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I thought it might have been me. So I don't think it's ever really necessary. I kind of off topic, but not really. I was actually surprised to see this as a course that they're offering at a college level, just because it seems almost dated at this point that you're teaching a newer or a younger generation this type of material when we live and breathe this type of environment daily. Not necessarily using Zoom, but we all communicate through technology. So I think we're more and more going away from face-to-face interaction. So yeah, that's kind of where I rambled with this one. But James?
I kind of agree with you, Joey. There's definitely a place for technology nowadays, and especially with the growing, all of the forms of communication that we have. But I don't know. I feel like more and more I'm becoming disconnected from people and situations, and I feel like in this scenario with a team, I think it was in New Jersey, and then there was another team in Texas or something, and they were so like kind of disconnected, and they didn't really have the same. Or no, one in California, one in New Jersey. I think they had such a disconnect from each other that I think a face-to-face meeting would be good. I remember it saying something about like within the first 30 days of having a team together, it's good to sort of build and open those channels rather than just web conferencing and stuff. Like getting to see somebody, I think was part of it. And I think there's ways we can push the aspect of trust building like early on. And I think that's included with kind of getting to know each other with social media, or at least having a picture near your name, or all the kind of different ways that they mention there. But I think the in-person meetings, it's become a crazy thing. I know on most jobs where you have aimless meetings. I know the video talked about it too, where it's like you have just people getting together just to get together that could be solved over an email, or, you sit there the whole time and you don't really even have any input. And it's a big waste of your day, and, that sort of thing. But I think in this scenario, it just was such a buildup for both teams, and they had such opposing kind of viewpoints on things that I think a good face-to-face meeting might be what they needed. I can only see pros in, mostly pros in having that meeting, but I do see where you're saying how, it could just lead to more BS. But I think in this, crazy scenario of such differing opinions and stuff, I think that it would help build trust and add to more accountability, since the team was so big. I think they mentioned that it was like huge, with, multiple members, and I think it would be better to build like smaller teams within the teams. And it's so hard to coordinate. I mean, if you're on that massive scale, it's super hard to coordinate. So I think a hierarchy of some sort of form, of some kind, whether they do it in person or not. But I think there's a lot that you can solve in person. I just like it too. I mean, just building relationships nowadays, it's like, it's crazy that we can't, it's like texting is like the way to like pick up on people, and like it feels so fake. And I mean, I just got back into the dating world, back on social media and Tinder and all this. It's like, it feels so superficial. Like I can't even, people can't interpret what I'm even saying or how I'm feeling, or, the vibe at all. You just have to like be witty and fake. And it's like this extra layer of inhumanness that I don't know. Technology is just tearing us away from each other. I don't like it. I took another class on digital media, and it just kind of reminded me of that. But But yeah, there's extremes though, right? You know, having a meeting every 20 minutes is a waste. I see that, but also, you know, never meeting is also, you know, not going to be good for your team if you don't have that personability to build that trust and communication channel. But
Right.
anyway, retort, Joey or Ari?
Yeah, I mean,
Go
I'll let you
ahead.
go.
I can see that point too, where there are some pluses, because with social media, we have become almost antisocial in some regard. So I guess there are some positive sides to it, even if it's not something that I prefer. Sorry, Ari, go ahead.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, the obvious response to me at first was, of course, get together. It's camaraderie. You can solidify roles. You can identify processes and procedure. The only cons that I've seen in the field, in real corporate world, is that you're taking people out of the field who are selling, and they have quotas to hit, and they have, you know, they're trying to make their own money and provide for themselves, and coordinating schedules, you know, getting people out of the field and finding the time for 20 people to come into one place, and the cost of that as well, you know, like it just makes it easier to just throw it as a video conference or a teleconference. But I mean, you have to weigh the cost between actual money to get people together and the cost of what you lose when you don't solidify a established team. So just depends. Haven? James, you want to retort?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm taking a class on being like they talk about a lot about how figuring things out like early on is a way to, you know, really call out the contingencies and stuff, and having these different teams like in different areas like just add to the burden of, you know, not being on the same page and having the same goal. Because I think this case they were both going a different way with the way that they wanted to. I think they wanted to contribute to their. It was like a hiring process or something where or the communication channel. Like one team wanted to use this system, and then this other team wanted to use this other system, and they weren't agreeing on it. So it was like it seemed like something that it would be worth it if they were on the same page, because otherwise the whole project goes under. You know, it wasn't like they were working on two separate projects, but towards the end, you know, if they don't get on the same page somehow, it's like it's going to fall apart. But yeah, I see what you're saying though.
Okay, I'm old-fashioned, so I was like, well, one, they need to make the group smaller, because obviously they didn't know how to handle such a widespread group. Mainly, in my opinion, it was the leader's fault, because she probably, or he, or whoever it was, should have kept asking people instead of just leaving them alone with no communication. But I do realize everything's going virtual, because even with coaching, we don't even really have face-to-face parent meetings anymore. It's so much easier to send stuff out in our group message, and people actually will read it and reply to it, rather than try to force everyone to meet up one night a week. And most people don't even attend that. And then you're still sending out the stuff afterwards for people who didn't make it. So I do like face-to-face meetings. That's just the person I am. But I'm kind of liking the virtual stuff more. It's becoming easier for me. The second question is on the 6 lessons.
I was going to say, before we jump into that, you know, it's interesting you talking about that, the coaching aspect. There's a tool that we utilize with my company called Mobile Coach, where you actually upload like a pitch. You like download the app on your phone and you upload like a sales pitch, and you just like in your car and you're at your desk, and it gets sent to your manager, and then your manager provides notes and feedback digitally. Like at 1:15, you said this, you should say this instead, that kind of thing. So it's where it's going, you know, it's all virtual. So it's like they could be 10 feet away from each other. The manager is in the office, and so is the sales rep. but they're pushing this initiative to have sales reps upload digital sales pitches, and so that's where it's going.
Interesting.
Anyway,
that's really cool. I'm going to be interested in like the next 20 years to see kind of what everyone's doing. But so the 6 lessons were in the back of the book. I kind of thought I was going crazy trying to find them for the first part, but they are focus on people issues, no trust, no team, soft skills are essential, watch out for performance peaks, create a high-touch environment, and virtual team leadership matters. So the question is, we need to address all 6 in our discussion, but how did they apply or not apply to our team? James, do you want to go first?
We could focus on people issues. I think so. A way to share experiences. I think we've done a good job with that. I think we've created sort of a way to, obviously go through the meeting and address issues that we've had, and make certain issues, make each other aware of what we've read and what we haven't read. So that's a plus for us. I think the way that she structured the meetings and the agendas are all based on exactly that, like building that communication between everybody, and allowing us to, sort of figure out a way to build that partnership. And I think the WhatsApp communication line is like probably the best thing that we did. And having that, also the Google Doc to sort of see what we want to update and stuff as well. Do we just want to go one by one, or do we want to?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I kind of agree with you. I said the things that stuck out to me were supported team spirit, trust, and productivity. I mean, I think we're all in this together, and we're all kind of focused on doing the best that we can. The group success is dependent on each individual performing. So I think we're all focused on everyone else performing as well. And the WhatsApp is really, I think all of us have been confused about one aspect or another and have gone to the group in the WhatsApp, and somebody will know the answer. So, Joey.
So this one, all of these were interesting to work through, but this one, especially, I think we often run into people issues in all of the teams that we are a part of. And one of the biggest issues I've had this course is just the difference in personalities and how people handle things or react. And not that anyone has done or said anything wrong, but it's interesting just to kind of observe and see how different personality types handle things differently. And there were some times that we had a few bumps, I feel like, but we were able to talk through those and work through those as a team, which helped us to get back on track. I think those negative moments or frustrating periods that we've all shared helped bring us together. So while there might have been some issues along the way, I feel like we did a good job of working through those.
So my notes are just kind of jumbled, but the no trust, no team, I think in what we were given, we've built, I guess, enough trust to get the job done that we need to. The watch out for performance peaks, that was talking about longer teams that after like a year or two, they kind of plateau. We won't, obviously, we have like a week left. We won't hit that. And then the create a high-touch environment, I think that was the one that was talking about at least once or twice a year meet in person. Well, we can't really do that either. So a couple of these didn't really apply to us. I think we did on the virtual team leadership matters. I think one and all of us at different points kind of stepped up and either filled an empty space or directed the team the way we needed to. And then I agree on with what you all said on the focus on people issue one. So I think we did good.
Yeah, for the create a high touch environment, I think the note that I wrote down was leverage synchronous tools.
Yeah.
And that was WhatsApp. I mean, that's what came to mind for
Yeah.
me. Virtual team leadership matters, emphasize common interests and values, and celebrate team achievements and success. I mean, for the timing that we have together and what we're trying to achieve, I think that was applicable. Soft skills are essential. Demonstrate competence in conflict management and collaboration. I think we've had both conflict management and collaboration, so that's why I think I pointed that out. Watch out for performance peaks. I think that was for longer teams, but at least for what we're doing in this group, every meeting, every week, we're defining roles and accountability. So I mean, it's somewhat relevant, but tried to garner something out of this that is relevant to what we're trying to do for the short term, right? James, anything else?
I agree.
I was just going to say, the trust building aspect of it was pretty important, and having meetings twice a week, and then having that team building exercise, I think it really kind of allowed us to step out of the box. And I think at some point, maybe meeting 3 or 2 or maybe 4 even for some people, we all kind of felt more at ease just talking about whatever and being able to kind of flow versus just reading off of our notes. And I think that's just a part of, building a team and getting to know each other, and being able to handle issues as they come together. And once we found solutions to things, it helped us develop new strategies together and kind of figure out how we wanted things to run and how questions would roll and stuff. Virtual team leadership, having at least, what you were saying, Ari, about kind of jumping around and, having whoever has the answer jump in and be kind of taking a leadership role on that, or whether it's, if you're the facilitator, it just depends on what kind of position you're in. So I think that, I think we demonstrated a lot of these things. High touch environments, it's back to our communication channels. But having these face-to-face meetings are also good. You can really kind of gauge how other people are feeling and what people are, feeling about questions or, what certain things affect people. So it's good to have, I think it's at least good to have a face-to-face type meeting. If this is not considered a face-to-face meeting, if anything, this is as close to what we could have. And I think we've done a pretty good job at it.
Real quick. So one of the things that was mentioned was performance peaks. I know that this is a short class, but I think it can even happen in the smaller time frames. I think a lot of times they go unnoticed, but I've seen it a lot at work, excuse me, where we'll be on a project that's maybe a month or 2 long, and just coming out of the gate on it, everyone's all excited and worked up and ready to go. And by week 2 or 3, everyone's just kind of fizzled over it, wanting it to be done. So I think it can still apply. I know that the book kind of made it sound like it couldn't, but I think it's really applicable to any size team group or team project. Haven.
Good point. Yeah, when I was reading it, it was talking long term, but but yeah, that's very true. Even from my own personal experiences, me personally, I get burnt out after a couple weeks, especially if it's if it gets rough really quickly, because you think it's smooth sailing and then kind of throws your curveball and throws you off. But okay. So the George Washington site, we were supposed to read 1 through 6 under assessing teams. Basically, using that stuff, it talked about all the feedback that we've gotten from Dr. Chanley and from, I don't know which team reviewed us, but the feedback from that team. How will our reaction or your reaction change based on the learning materials and our self-reflection? Who wants to go first?
So on that one, I said that I felt like at times some of the feedback was out of context or a little of the person's responding, becoming a little emotional about things that had been said or misunderstood. So I struggled for a while to take some of the feedback seriously. But I did learn from that it's important to be clear, concise, organized, timely, and non-defensive. I think we've been over this a few times. It's easy to react quickly or be upset, and I'm guilty of it as well. But my key takeaway from this whole class is going to be really just awareness on that topic. I can't guarantee that I'll change for the better if there is such a thing. But I think it's a big life lesson in general, just to be aware of that so that if it does happen, it can be addressed appropriately at a later time or date. Not everything. Actually, I'm going to stop there. Ari?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing to take out of the peer evaluations was trying to just find the ways of how to improve team performance, not being critical of the analysis, but just trying to garner anything good out of it. Throw away whatever doesn't work for you and just try and so some of the things that I wrote down: critical analysis of team members' work enables team members to increase control of learning. Just try and figure out the best way to learn from this. Closing learning gaps, correct internal problems, that type of thing. It's try not to be too critical of yourself and just take the best you can out of it. And that's basically what I got out of it. Haven?
So I kind of said a little bit of what you all said. Basically, that not that we overanalyzed their answers or their replies about us, but I know at least I did. Basically, I learned to kind of just read or listen with kind of just a blank slate, and then just take it as is and be like, okay, cool. That's what they thought. That's awesome. I could probably fix it, and then kind of move on. But I think on simple sentences, I would kind of think too into it or try to dissect it way more than it actually could be done. So that was my main thing. So that way it was just more beneficial to me and to anyone in my group, sort of thing. But James?
So in terms of people's feedback, I agree with you guys. It's easy to see what is sort of an emotional response versus what is a logical response, and it's important to kind of sit back objectively and see what is what is something that's going to be valuable and constructive versus something that's just negative. But I think overall it just kind of helps us develop our priorities and our goals as a team. It allows us to kind of reassess what we see as important and sort of how other people see us, especially when we're doing these meetings, or embarrassing sometimes when you see yourself speak or, whatever. It's funny to kind of look at yourself while you're actually speaking, and kind of you can see yourself from a third person view sometimes. I think that's interesting to see it through other people's eyes, and it gives you kind of an idea of what your skills and abilities are and where you're lacking, and it kind of helps us build our own cohesiveness maybe and morale, based on sort of how we see their feedback and how we're things that we agree with and things that we don't agree with, and kind of where we can go from there, because I think no matter what, when people provide feedback, it's still effort on their part, and I think it's still something to look at, whether it's positive or negative. I hear all this stuff on podcasts. They always talk about, don't give in to negative feedback on Twitter or YouTube comments or whatever. But I think looking at it to some degree and sort of being aware at least of how other people see you is really important, and especially for a group, because it's, like I said, hard to see yourself from the outside taking that perspective. So I think I can take this and use it towards my future teams, and just kind of see, be allowed to feel that I could, give feedback to other people as well as take feedback, without being emotionally affected by it, and using it to my benefit is probably the plan in the future. So.
Cool.
Cool beans. So now let's move on to the 2 TED videos. Starting with the power of introverts. How does this inform your leadership of a team in the future? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
I like this video.
Yeah, I like this video a lot. I'm an introvert, so a lot of the things that she was saying kind of spoke to me. Like just demystifying the fact that introversion is not about being shy. Shyness is fear of social judgment. Introversion is about how you respond to stimulation. Solitude is a crucial ingredient to creativity. The more freedom we give introverts, the more likely we are to come up with solutions to problems. And then the big one at the end was stop the constant call for group work. Have your own revelations. And then she did the whole open your own suitcase thing. In especially my field, it seems like a lot of people that are video editors are introverts. It's just the nature of you're zoned in on your laptop. You have the system in front of you. You know all the shortcuts. You have a vision of how you want to make it work. I've got good experience with introversion and working with introverts as well. And so I was all about this video. I thought, extroverts are weird. So screw them. Joey?
Overall, this video made me feel like I'm more aware of the needs of an introvert. I was very introverted in elementary school. And all the way until like junior year of high school, I was an extreme introvert. I didn't really talk to anyone. I was the teacher's pet. And then somehow I gained a voice and grew some confidence to kind of speak my mind. But I liked how she explained how the classroom settings have changed a bit. It is weird to walk into a classroom. So many of my classrooms growing up, we all sat in different rows facing the teacher. And then to hear that now, I had a couple of classes where we faced each other, but it was maybe 1 or 2. It's like forcing something that doesn't necessarily need to exist. And when I was scrolling on Facebook this evening, I hope you can see it. This popped up in my newsfeed. Well, no, so I'll have to read it to you. It's a meme that says, why does everyone force introverts to be talkative and leave their comfort zone, but no one forces the extroverts to shut up, even for a minute, to make the zone comfortable? So I mean, I guess it's because extroverts don't mind talking, and so they don't think about the uncomfortable people in the room, or they can't fathom that there would be somebody like that. So being someone that used to be extremely introverted, I can see both sides of it. But yeah, I think it's going to, again, teach that awareness aspect of just kind of being more aware that everyone is different on a team. Haven?
I am right with you on that one. I grew up very introverted, didn't talk to anyone. And then because of sports and some jobs, I was forced to be an extrovert. Um, so now I'm comfortable talking to people if I have to, but if I have a choice, I won't. But I really did enjoy the video. She said something like a third to half of the population are introverts. We need introverts to do what they do best. And I think, I don't know, if they could like show that video in school, I think a lot of kids that made fun of like the quiet kids would kind of respect them more. And that's what I really liked about it, how she just kind of empowered all the quiet people. You never see that, so I just thought that was really cool. James, have you gone?
So I
James the extrovert.
pretty much covered everything. Huh?
The extrovert needs to go.
But I disagree with everything. I fully agree. I realized how much of an introvert I truly am. I really love working on my own. I can't really get anything accomplished when other people are around. I think it's maybe because I have ADD, or maybe because my brain just starts firing and I pay attention to people more than I pay attention to information sometimes. But it made me really realize, she said something about, how our great thinkers are all people that go into solitude and they need that extra time to sort of build what they have in their mind. I agree with that fully. And I also agree with the fact that nobody's better or worse than anybody else. She mentioned something about in school how sort of they taught more about business, and they taught more about the aspects of if you try, I think it was about electricity, and they taught about not about the person that invented it, but also they kind of, or that just made me think about it. I forgot the example that she used, but it was basically just saying that like our system is built for extroverts, and I think it's there's no invisible wall that's forcing anybody to be introverted or extroverted. I think it's a balance. I think everything's a duality, and I think there is interplay between people that are doers versus people that are thinkers. And I think if you are too much of a thinker, introverted spectrum, you're going to stray from actually putting your ideas to work, and that's what she was pushing introverts to do. But in the same note, I think the doers are just as important as the thinkers. I think every great thinker has somebody that that helped them present their idea. Nikola Tesla was in love with pigeons. Meanwhile, Edison was creating and building businesses, and that's why he's remembered. But you wouldn't have one without the other. So I think that it's a great duality to think about, and I think that her perspective on introverts was interesting. I think there's also another side, that should be considered, and it's a spectrum. But having both aspects is awesome, because I used to be super introverted, and then I became extroverted just from my circumstances, and it sort of forced me to do things more and become less of a dreamer, more realistic, kind of conservative with my thoughts, and now I kind of think in terms of what can I physically accomplish versus these lofty existential goals that I'll never reach, or it's a dream. But I always tell people, like, when I was a kid, I wish someone told me to be realistic rather than you can accomplish anything and you can be a pro basketball player if you want. And like, I wish I just had someone that was like, hey, you should probably be realistic. The world's a cruel place. There's always going to be somebody better than you, and it's competitive, and you shouldn't try to assume that you're going to make the NBA. You should try to get realistic. I mean, as you get older, you naturally become more realistic because you know your boundaries and your goals kind of shrink towards a realism. But anyway, I'm ranting.
Okay. The last video is the power of vulnerability, and it just wants us to discuss our emotional reaction to this video. For me, it started off funny because she was talking about being a storyteller and all that and everything, but I really liked how she was relatable throughout the entire video, and she was able to kind of get your attention without completely upsetting you. I didn't know the best words to put it. This video kind of there was one part when she was talking about disconnect, and it made me kind of sad and all that. But then she kind of would pull you away from that and then get you to analyze what she was saying without even realizing it. And then she would just say something funny, and you'd be back to kind of reality. And I don't know, it was really cool. She has a cool play on words sometimes. But Joey.
So I've watched this clip several times. I saw it a few years back. And it's one of my favorite videos to watch. Anytime that I'm struggling with something, I actually pull it up and listen to it because I think vulnerability is one of the most powerful things in the world. And we could all learn to be a little bit more vulnerable because it makes us more relatable. It can also be someone's biggest weakness because once people know how to manipulate you, you become very vulnerable and they can take advantage of that situation. But I consider myself to be very vulnerable and open. At times I tend to overshare, but I also feel like that's a good thing because it makes people more comfortable. It makes me more approachable, and then it can potentially help others. So yeah. Harry, sorry.
So yeah, I thought this was an impactful talk. I was kind of moved by it by the end. She was making a lot of points that really hit home, and like blame is a way to discharge pain and discomfort. When we numb vulnerability, we numb everything. The people who have a strong sense of love and belonging believe they are worthy of it. They believe what made them vulnerable made them beautiful. Just talking a lot about connection and why we're here, and we have to allow ourselves to be seen. It honestly made me think a lot about our country, and probably a lot of people aren't vulnerable, and they put a lot of blame on other people, which is why it's so divided. It just really sucks. It's just like, if everybody would just kind of stop being so, blaming other people and be a little bit more vulnerable, I think it would be helpful. But it's hard, honestly. I mean, I understand why people blame other people for their problems. It's easier to do that than to take responsibility for yourself and your actions. I can't say that I am 100% vulnerable, but I'd like to think that I am more vulnerable than most, and I keep trying to improve myself. So that was my reaction. James?
Vulnerability, emotions, what are they? Next. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was great. I love the video. Her research was cool because she went into sort of aspects of her personal life, and you could tell she was kind of a really straightforward researcher when she started her research, and then eventually she kind of broke down with her therapist and figured out her own stuff. And it's really about starting with yourself, and really to it's always goes back to you have to love yourself and you have to care about yourself before you can love somebody else. Be kind to ourselves first and then to others. Connection as a result of authenticity. So we try to be who we are versus how we should be. I don't know if she wanted us to relate this maybe back to her question about who we wanted to be, or our bless you, our
Thank you.
shadow selves or whatever. But I think we shouldn't really necessarily have those shadow selves. There should be a self that we aspire to be better than, or to be better as. But having a self that you know you're authentically not, and that is you, I think is a false way to live, and it's reflected in your life, I think, sometimes. Yeah, it definitely happened to me moving to California. I feel like kind of just got away from everything, and then after I tried to pick up all the pieces, it was like, well, shit, who am I? And then I try to really embrace who I was, and I realized that I was much stronger than I had thought before. I went from like a stoner with terrible grades and no money and no job and just kind of, not really doing anything, to someone that was, going to school and working full time, and, figured out how to make money and better myself and start working out, and, finding ways to be vulnerable in some aspects, but I still think that I have a lot of aspects to be vulnerable in. I still find ways to become addicted to things, to numb myself in a way. But a lot of it is environment. I feel like I think that, with your job, there's a role you have when you're in your job. There's a role you have when you're with your family. There's a different role you have when you're with your friends, your coworkers, your boss, someone you're hiring with. You have this character that you kind of go through the world playing in every scenario. And I think that in the real world, to survive, it would be awesome if we could all just be completely vulnerable all the time. But I think in the real world, I don't think it's possible in a lot of cases. And I think we have to play our roles. But I do see what she's saying, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Especially in the corporate world, I mean, everybody has their guard up. At least in my experience, people are trying to achieve what their selfish goal is, whether it's a project or a position. You can't really market yourself like on your resume. You're not going to put vulnerable. That's not really a marketing tool you want to emphasize. You kind of want to show like you have confidence and you're a bulldog or whatever it may be. But I found that the people I work with best are open and they show vulnerability trying to accomplish a goal. So it just depends on who you're working with.
Okay. So any other thoughts, comments, or discussion points before we move on?
No.
And any questions for Dr. Chanley? Cool. How did this meeting go using the George Washington site? Does anyone have that pulled up?
I do.
Take a point from that.
I mean, this is fine. It was a little difficult without Daniela getting her perspective.
I think we did good. I think our discussions are becoming more in-depth, I guess. I don't want to say opinionated, but we're kind of relating them to like real life. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Are we learning, lean on each other? Right. It's successful team members learn from each other's thought processes. I think we're accomplishing that. It's nice to
I
get
think so
perspective.
too.
Yeah, I think channels are good. We've built enough trust to be open, and we're generally pretty authentic in the way we communicate. And I think that we're not just reading off the text anymore, so that's good. We're kind of going into relating into our lives, and plus these videos are pretty interesting this week. I like these.
Yeah.
Any changes needed for the next meeting?
Roles.
Looks like we have a lot to do.
Yeah, we should set up. We should kind of talk about
Yeah.
the groundwork for what we need to do for Thursday. We're doing this Thursday.
Thursday, I think, is what I have down. Yeah, Thursday at 9 my time, 6 yours. Okay, so for the next meeting, it says preparation needed for Module 6, assignment discussion, which is assignment 6.4. This is the meeting during which you each share yourself and teammate assessments. So we need to just review the instructions for 6.2 and 6.3.
So we need to assign each other who we're evaluating.
Yes.
We get 2 each. And then
And make sure
we also have
everybody is.
examples of how we think that the person is rated in those categories. So we'll cross off one of the categories, and then we'll say exactly an example of how everyone thought I talked too much, or
You're self-aware.
yeah. As long as we think they don't want us to overlap or whatever, so we kind of can like all make sure we all choose to get everyone at least, covered. It should be easy with our group.
So we each need 2.
Yeah.
We need to do 2, but we also need to make sure that everyone is being evaluated twice.
Okay, so I'll write these down as we go. Crap. So James, Haven, Joey, duh. All right, who? James, pick 2.
Let me just choose. Let me choose Ari and Joey.
Okay. Do you have something against women? I'm kidding. Haven.
Actually, I can get Daniela. Never mind.
No.
I'll do Daniela.
All right. Sorry, James. We're moving along. And who else?
Doesn't matter to me. You all can pick.
How about James?
That works.
Ari?
I'll do Joey and Haven.
Okay. So let's see.
Wait, I'm writing this in the chat so we can.
Yeah.
That
So Daniela will give her Haven and James. And that leaves me with Daniela and Ari. And it works out evenly that way.
Everybody's evaluated twice.
Yep. Everyone's twice and everyone has 2. So James, you have Ari and myself. Haven has Daniela and you. Ari has Joey and Haven. Daniela has Haven and James. And then I have Daniela and Ari.
Wait, who does Ari have again?
Me and Haven. Or Haven and I.
Okay, so the Thursday meeting.
Yep.
What are we doing 6.2 and 6.3 prior to Thursday?
Well, we'll discuss them Thursday, but yeah.
We need to submit 6.2
Right.
prior to the meeting, and then 6.3. I need to submit 6.5 also.
So we have notes. This is crazy. There's a ton of stuff this week.
Yeah, I did this yesterday because I realized that we were running out of time. I thought we were gonna have a meeting yesterday, so
Yeah.
it's not that bad. It's 2 web pages and a TED Talk,
Okay.
and it's only 1 question. It's kind of like
And then we have our assessment.
right, and then there's the assessment 6.3, but this says that this assignment discussion is forthcoming. Did we not get that yet?
And it says it's supposed to be a website URL. So,
Are you looking at the discussion video assignment where we talk about them, or are you looking at?
I'm looking at this one is called modules. It's the second to last one in module 6. Module 6 team assignment
6.3?
sharing assessment. Yeah.
oh, that is our meeting.
So
Is
that's
that
our
the Thursday?
discussion. Yeah,
Okay.
that's just to upload the link.
Okay, cool.
But there's no agenda.
Well, it says in the body that basically each team member should share one strength that they did find on the self-assessment, and then one they need to improve on, and then
Yeah, I think this is kind of the
Yeah.
agenda.
The
even
agenda
though
is here.
there's- Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can kind of follow the other. Is there one in the notes assignment by accident, maybe? No.
No.
Oh, so the submitter will just type up whatever we're kind of going over.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Assessment. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
So 6.2 we get done before Thursday. Thursday will be the 6.3 where we follow that agenda,
Right.
and then
6.5 is done before Thursday as well.
Right.
6.5 also done before Thursday. Is that just what all this stuff on today's agenda is? She's just showing everything laid out.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then I also, when are we doing the extra credit and what is it about? So I can make sure I do it.
So I guess I got confused because she gave us 2 options and then I think it changed again. But maybe I don't catch all the the announcements. Usually come through once I've gone to bed.
She told me
Um,
we had that meeting, remember?
Yeah, I have it written down, and you were right. We were going to do it this week, but
I think we have to do it this week. Is what
Oh,
she
we
said.
can't. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So she must have. Maybe I'm confused.
Do you think
My
we could
other
add it
class.
on to Thursdays? Because it's only supposed to be like a 30-minute thing. And I don't think our evals of each other or ourselves will take that.
Well, I'm concerned that if those don't take a long time, that's a lot of points for that one. But plus we have a discussion as well.
Yeah.
We could do it right now if anyone was.
Well, Daniela's not here.
Danielle's not here.
Yeah.
I'm fine with skipping it at this point. I'm not too concerned, but it's up to you.
I would say, is our grades good enough? Because we just need A's, right?
Yeah. We're getting over 100 in this class.
What if we started before the meeting? Like, what if we did it at like 5:30?
I don't know if Haven, you can do that, right?
On Thursday, no, I'll be
I don't
in.
know if-
I won't be able to do that.
I don't
I have a
think
97 in the class right now. So if we finish strong, I'll be fine.
I haven't
As
asked.
long as she doesn't take points off for silly things moving forward.
But it's up to you all because I don't want anyone else to lose out on points that they want.
She said something about if only one person wants to do it, that's fine. But I don't remember where I saw that.
I would say I remember that popping up on my phone, but I couldn't tell you what it said.
I can't either. I'm trying to look through the announcements now, but there's a lot. So
Yeah, I don't need to do it, so I'm gonna bow out.
I wanted an A+, but it's not really worth the time at this point for me. So
It's an easy 10 points, guys. Come on.
If I get 10 points, I'll be like,
Just a review. It's just literally like reviewing the other person's review. Like,
well, how about what we do is someone find where she talked about if it's one person and send a screenshot and figure out what that's about. And then based off of that, maybe depending on how long Thursday's meeting goes, if we even have a few people that wanted to hang around after that meeting got over and do it for 30 minutes, then we could do it that way. And if not, we'll at least have discussed it prior to that meeting.
It's module 6 or 7. If you look at the header of the most recent announcement, it says extra credit module 6/7 assignment option. I think she just put it under 6 to put it somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, let's play it by ear, see how much time we have on Thursday if we want to push it to the following week.
Okay. And then, so next week, I know we'll probably won't schedule that until Thursday. Do we want to go ahead and try to plan for Monday or Tuesday? We only have one meeting next week and then we're done. So
We should probably wait for Daniela to do that.
okay, that's fine. All right.
All right, so we're filling out 6.2 and 6.5 and having assignment 6.3 on Thursday, submitting it on Thursday.
Yes.
Cool. All right, guys.
Cool beans.
Good meeting.
All right.
Yay.
Have a good night.
James, you're going to submit this?
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.